Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we are here at CES 2023. This is our first dispatch video from the show, so be sure to check that playlist we'll have in the video description so you can see all the different things we'll be doing from Las Vegas this week. We are right now at an event called CES Unveiled, and one of the things that I like to do when I'm here is be really efficient. So all we're walking around with here is a camcorder and a microphone, and one of the things that I look for are events where we can see a lot of different things all in one place without having to drive all over Las Vegas to see it. And that's what this event is all about. There's about 100 companies in there, all exhibiting here at the show this week, but they're all together in there so we can get to the good stuff pretty quickly. And we've got a bunch of events like this coming up throughout the week. Now, before we jump in, though, I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is the Hi Seoul Company Virtual Cluster. They are a startup incubator located in Seoul, Korea, with over 1,000 talented companies on its roster. Only the best companies make the Hi Seoul list after a careful selection process that looks at a company's growth, technology, and competence. Later this week, we're going to be visiting 3 of these companies developing groundbreaking AI technologies for the finance, food, and marketing industries. But if you're looking to accelerate your own business growth in Asia, don't wait. Visit Lon.TV/HiSeoul, and you will be connected to the Seoul Business Agency, who can match you up with talented Korean companies looking for international partners. I want to thank them for their support of the channel and the coverage that you're going to see this week. And without further ado, let's head in. So our first stop is here at LIFEAZ, and this is a defibrillator for the home. So typically you see these things at gyms and other commercial places. This one is designed to be used in a home environment, but it's also very portable. And as long as it's charged, you can pretty much take it anywhere. And my friend here can open it up. We can take a look inside. And it functions a lot like a defibrillator might work on a commercial basis, except, again, that it's for the home. And when you turn it on, it will give you verbal instructions about how to get this thing set up. And, of course, it does everything to monitor the patient and deliver the right amount of shock to get their heart beating again. And with so many heart attacks and other things happening in the home, having one of these, especially for people that might be concerned that an incident might happen in their home, I think this could be a real lifesaver, literally, for people that are in need of it. This costs about 1,000 euros, so roughly about 1,000 US dollars, and the company monitors it for its health, as far as the health of the batteries and the other components. And if something goes wrong, they get in touch with you. It's not yet available here in the US, but it will be soon. And it's really great to see something like this, because this is definitely something that I think is going to save some lives. So we ran into Stern Pinball. They have been making pinball machines for decades, and they're still going, and they've got a brand new one here. This is a limited edition 007, and this one's number 2 of 500. They don't have a price available. You have to call to get it. But I would expect it's probably around the price of an economy car. So you can have an economy car, or you can get yourself a nice pinball machine here. What's neat about what they're doing now is internet connecting the pinball machines, mostly for high scores, but you can do tournaments and other things with it. And on the top of this machine and the other ones that are like it is an area where you can scan your QR code anywhere in the world. So your player profile kind of follows you around. So if you're going to the Pinball Hall of Fame here in Las Vegas, for example, you can scan your barcode, play on some of those machines there, and you're going to get on the leaderboard if you do really well. And if you have one at home, your performance at home will also get onto the leaderboard and also allow for online tournaments and that sort of thing as well. So it's kind of neat to see, these mechanical pinball machines still doing what they do with new designs, great new ideas, but also some internet connectivity now too. So here's something pretty cool. This is called the MUI board, and this device looks like a slab of wood. It's very attractive, but it can project through the wood and control your smart home devices. Right now it's in timer mode, and if I write bedtime here, what'll happen is it'll put a timer together. As you saw, it set it for 3 minutes and 15 seconds. When I hit play here, the bedtime thing that I just wrote out is going to go away. And as the timer is counting down, it's controlling a smart lamp that's on the desk here via Matter, which is that new open source, essentially, home automation protocol. And it's kind of a neat product because it's not as glaring as a screen is in your bedroom. It's something that I think matches the decor better. And there's other apps that run within this system here. And when that timer goes down, the lights are off, and it's time for your kid to go to bed. They have some other things here too that they're working with other companies on. They license out the technology. So this is like a little lamp or a clock kind of approach where you have a physical dial on it. And it's just kind of a neat way, I think, to present information in a way that doesn't involve a screen. The board here is going to sell for about $5.99, and again, it's going to be Matter compatible. So I was walking by this table, and they had a husky out. I have a husky at home that looks just like this. Her name is Sasha. And on her collar here is a device called Invoxia. And this is basically a Fitbit for dogs. So it will measure their steps, their heart rate. It takes kind of like a heart print of the dog to detect if anything anomalous is going on with the animal. It lasts several weeks, they say, on a charge, but you will have to take it off and charge it every once in a while. And in addition to all the health stuff, it has a GPS tracker on it. So if the animal runs away, you can keep track of where they are. So kind of a neat concept here. We wear these wristbands that do all this for humans, and now you can put a collar around your dog that'll do the same thing. Now, this is coming out soon here in the U.S. The price will be $149 US, and there's also an $8 monthly fee for the location tracking. So producer Jake and I were just talking about how much we love to cook, sort of, and we always like to find quick and easy ways to cook. And here's some cool stuff from a company called Cooking Pal. And what they've got here on the desk is the Multo, which is out now. This thing is like the major league cooker here. So as you can see, it's got a couple of components that stack on top of each other, and it looks pretty robust. And I got to tell you, it looks like it can do quite a bit. And what they've got here is a tablet that goes with it. So everything that you use to control the device is done through this tablet device here. It costs about $1,000 all in, which honestly is not as much as I was expecting it to be when I first looked at it. That one is available now. What they're coming up with next, though, is this one called Pronto. And this is a pressure cooker, kind of like an Instapot, but it's smart. And you can control it with that tablet device from the other thing or with your phone. So you don't need to have the other device to use this one. And some of the neat things that it can do is have an automatic way of releasing pressure. I have an Instapot. You got to like hit that valve real quick and hope you don't get sprayed in the face with all that stuff coming out of it. This one does it for you. And they also have a lid here that is going to work as an air fryer. And this goes on top of any pressure cooker, really, including the Instapot. And it will turn it into an air fryer, which I thought was a really neat idea. Now, the air fryer component is $119, and this will work with brands other than theirs as well. Kind of a neat idea if you've got an Instapot or something already. And then the smart cooker here is $279 and will work off of a smartphone app. Hey, look who I ran into. It's Andrew Marc David. How you doing?
Very good, Lon. I'm very excited to finally meet you in person. I'm a huge fan, by the way.
I'm a huge fan of yours. Now, Andrew has a great YouTube channel focusing on laptops. And for those of you who think I don't do enough detail, go to this guy. He's got the details. What do you hope to see this year? Because I think there's a lot of stagnation, I think. Just features are kind of incremental.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the foldable category in the laptops. Like I know Asus has one. Lenovo announced one in the fall where it turns into a tablet. Pretty functional, very versatile, and I can't wait to see where the foldable computers or the foldable laptops go, because I think that's the future. I think that's where we're heading.
Something new and different, hopefully. So where can people find you?
You can go at Andrew Marc David on YouTube, on Twitter, at Andrew Marc David.
Great, check it out. It's a great channel. So we found this interesting door lock here at the Schlage table. This is their Encode Plus. And this is like your standard keypad lock. It's got support for Google Home and Amazon and everything. But it's also got some extras for Apple users with HomeKit, including their Homekey technology. So if you bring your phone up to it, like my friend just did here, it will unlock the lock if you've got everything set up properly. And it also works with Apple Watch in the same way. So you just walk up to the door, and as long as you've got your watch unlocked, you just put your wrist up to the door, and it unlocks everything without a key. And of course, it's all integrated into HomeKit. This costs $329 and is available now. So here's something for people that are having a hard time hearing voices on their television. This is called the Mirai Speaker, and this connects up with a 3.5-inch headphone jack. They also have a digital audio cable available. And what it does is it isolates sound from dialogue on a television program or on a movie or something, and it helps project that audio out so people can hear it. And it doesn't look like much on the table here, but I heard it as I was walking past, and it's pretty noisy in this environment right now. That's why we use this microphone, and it really kind of stood out to me as something that might actually work and help people who are having a hard time hearing television dialogue. You can, of course, also hook it up to your laptop or tablet or anything else with a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on it. Now, the Mirai Speaker is available right now on Amazon, and it sells for $299. Now, one family of smart home products that I haven't looked at yet is SwitchBot. We're going to try to get a few of these things in. And they actually started with a device that is over here. Sorry, Jake. This is the original SwitchBot. And what this is designed to do is control light switches. So it's a little robot that will turn your light switches on and off, kind of like the rocker switch here. And it's a neat thing because you don't have to reinstall a new switch. You just put the bot over your old one. And now they're branching off into other areas. So this is their SwitchBot lock. And this is a door lock that goes over an existing lock. You don't have to take the old lock out. This thing just kind of shapes around the inside of your deadbolt. And it will function a lot like a smart lock would that you would often have to do a pretty massive installation for, or at least some installations. So, for example, recently we looked at an August lock where we had to take out the inside of our existing door lock. Here you don't need to do that. You just bolt it on. And they're now supporting Matter. So before, the SwitchBot products didn't work with Apple HomeKit, but because Apple supports Matter, which is that open source standard, now the SwitchBot works with HomeKit through Matter. And they were demoing that you can have your iPad functionality here. So, for example, I can hit this button here, and if we can pan quick enough, we can go ahead and close some curtains that they have a little curtain robot doing here. Let me do it again here. And although the curtain robot here doesn't support HomeKit directly, because it supports Matter, it now works. And so they've got a bunch of new products here that are supporting Matter, including a new little home hub here as well that can control a whole bunch of things in the Matter ecosystem. So some pretty cool stuff from SwitchBot. And I hope to get some of these things in to test them out because I'm very interested in Matter, and it's great to see now some products shipping with it that actually work. Now, this one is a little on the pricier side, but I thought some of you might find it of interest. This is the Unistellar Equinox 2. It sells for about $2,500 US. This is a smart telescope. There's no eyepiece to look through on it. So what you do is you connect it to your phone, you tell it what you want it to go look at, it will find it in the sky. And what I found most interesting about this is that it will do image stacking inside of the telescope for you. Now, this is typically how astronomers get images of distant galaxies and planets and everything, where they have to have the telescope pointed at an object and then move the telescope ever so slightly as the Earth is rotating. This telescope does all that for you. You can see the result of the stacking on your phone. So if you wanted to take a picture of the Andromeda Galaxy, you can do that relatively easily. You point it at the object, you wait a few minutes, and you can actually see the image improve on your phone as more and more data comes down. Again, there's no eyepiece on this. It is designed for real-time viewing for the most part, so you can't really leave it out overnight for a long exposure. But again, if you're looking to get into astronomy and maybe you're a little frustrated trying to work with a traditional telescope, this will get you going a lot quicker, and I think might be the gateway, if you will, to other types of astronomy devices. So we stopped by the UGREEN table, and we're starting to see a lot more of these portable power banks. They're like generators, of course, but they're batteries. And this one, both of them weigh a ton. This is their 600-watt unit, and they have a 1,200-watt unit here. You've got your USB connectors here on the front. It'll do 100 watts out of that USB Type-C max. You've, of course, got your little flashlight there, too. And then you've got a DC power adapter. These also have a bunch of AC outlets, too. And these will do a shared max of 600 watts. So that's where they get the max 600-watt capacity from. The 1,200-watt one, of course, will go a little bit longer depending on what you're using on it. And additionally, they're going to have a solar panel here available in two flavors, a 100-watt and 200-watt panel. Now, of course, the amount of energy you get out of those solar panels will depend on the solar conditions. So right now, up in my neck of the woods, it's winter. You don't have as much intensity of the sun. But under ideal conditions, you can get a good charge back on this battery. and it does allow bidirectional usage, so you can charge and discharge at the same time. Now the 600 watt unit is going to sell for about $649, and the 1200 watt unit is going to be about $1,049. These are not yet out in the US, but will be soon. The pricing on the solar is to be determined. And I know a lot of you are interested in these GAN power adapters, and we found this one. This is their 140 watt adapter here at the UGREEN table. And of note is that it can do 140 watts over USB-C. And what it'll do if you've got like a MacBook Pro that's going to draw 100 watts out, for example, is it'll dedicate that lower port for the full power when needed. So one of the problems you run into sometimes with these adapters is that it just shares the power equally among the devices based on what is drawing. This one will put some priority on the lower socket. So if you're doing some video rendering or something, you'll get the full power that you need when plugged into that port, but you also get the convenience of plugging in additional USB devices with only one wall wart to walk around with. The only gripe I have is the same gripe I had on the Anchor one we looked at recently, which is that these things are rather heavy and they often fall out of the outlet. And this one doesn't have the suction cup thing that the Anchor one does. So you may want to get like a little extension cord to go with this just to keep it from falling out of your outlet. Now, my very first inkjet printer was a Canon, the old Bubble Jet. And they have a new printer here. This is a tank printer, the GX4020. For a tank printer, not all that expensive, $499. They have some quality examples here that look pretty good. We'll have to review this to get the full scope of its capabilities. But this is the kind of printer that you put in a small office or in a home where you're looking to do some basic stuff. You can do, photos and stuff on these, but obviously a photo printer will do better. But the cost of consumables on a tank printer is significantly less, and you get a lot more out of the printer with one batch of ink. So we're going to try to get one of these in and have a look at it and see how it compares with some of the other printers we've looked at recently. Now, we don't usually consider larger laptops to be lightweight, and I was walking by the LG table, and this looked like another large laptop that you typically see, but it isn't. This is the LG style, the LG Gram style to be exact, and this is less than 3 pounds, but it's got a 16-inch OLED display. It's got a 13th generation Intel processor. I don't have pricing on this yet. It's got a really cool trackpad, a haptic one that will light up when you put your finger in the trackpad zone here, and it will do that haptic clicking like the MacBooks do. So the 16-inch one is pretty light, but the one next to it is a 15-inch that's even lighter. This one is 2.2 pounds, and this is the Gram Ultra Slim, very slim as you can see. This also has an OLED display. This one runs at 60 hertz, whereas you can get up to 120 on the style model. But if you're looking for something larger that has a number pad that's also very easy to walk around with, these might be something worth considering. And the displays on them being OLEDs look spectacular as well. And these are both coming out from LG. So this is a company called Pale Blue. And while this is a product that most of us probably aren't going to use, I thought this was interesting because I am into space, as many of you know, and I'm certainly interested in Cubesats, which are very small satellites that are getting launched by the hundreds now every year. And as an amateur radio operator, I really enjoy sending signals to those amateur radio satellites. And one of the things you have to think about when you put a satellite in orbit is controlling that orbit and maybe steering the satellite towards the ground for photography or making sure it's got good sunlight. And oftentimes you have to use a thruster to do that. And there's a lot of different ways to thrust a satellite in orbit. But what they're doing with this that I thought was interesting is using water as the fuel for the thruster. So it pushes water out of these little nozzles to adjust the direction of the satellite in space. And as they're telling me here, water, of course, is very abundant here on Earth, so it's not a very expensive fuel for the thrusting, and it's a lot safer than some of the hypergolics that they use. So for example, when we're at the NASA launches, we're given instructions to shelter inside of buildings with good ventilation because NASA spacecraft use hypergolics, which are highly cancerous as a material. It's actually very poisonous to breathe it in, whereas water is a lot safer. So just a neat thruster module here for Cubesats from a company called Pale Blue. You know, it's funny, the other day I was talking to somebody, I said, why can't we find any 10 gig POE switches out there? And I was walking by the Netgear table, and sure enough, they've got one sitting right out here. This is part of their cloud management system, so it'll work with their Wi-Fi access points and other devices, and you can centrally manage everything through that. It does 300 watts total, and it can do 60 watts out of each port. Now, the ports to the right there, those 4, are 10 gig max, and the other 4 are 2.5 gig max, and those 8 ports are all POE. And then if Jake pans over to the right, you'll see that there are 2 SFP plus ports there also, so you can uplink and downlink the switch to other switches on your network, or slide in some more SFP plus adapters and get another couple of network connections out of it. So pretty cool stuff from Netgear. Now, as we were getting ready to walk away, my friend here at the Netgear table said, you got to look at this thing, because if you're going to have a multi-gig PoE switch, you got to have some stuff to plug into it that can take advantage of it. So this is their Wi-Fi 6E access point. And if you see on the little lights there, you got a 6 gigahertz, a 5 gigahertz, and a 2.4. The Wi-Fi 6E runs over 6 gigahertz, 120 megahertz wide, so a very wide channel of data that you can push through. And one of the issues that we've seen with a lot of these Wi-Fi 6 access points that we've been looking at is that they only have 1 gig going out the back. This one's got 2.5, so you can start taking advantage of some of the multi-gig speeds that you can get out of these Wi-Fi connections. And of course, there is another one on here too, which is a 1 gig PoE port for powering it, but you can also plug in a 12-volt power adapter there as well. So nice multi-gig Wi-Fi adapter here from Netgear. Now I'm standing here next to the potty because we're over here at the Withings table, and they've got a new urine analysis device that sits in the potty, and we've got one in here. They tell me this potty hasn't been used, so we can freely touch some of these things. And what you do with this is actually pee on it, and inside is a cartridge that can support 100 samples that are taken. And if my friend can come over here, he's going to open one up and show us what it looks like. It's pretty busy over here at the booth. There's a lot of people interested in this. And they have a number of different cartridges that are available. They're going to launch with 3 different ones. This is the nutrition one that looks at what is coming out to determine what you're putting in. But they also have one for menstrual cycles and for professional users to look at different use cases in the medical community. Now, there is a battery on this. It has to be charged about every 3 months or so, my friend tells me. But generally, you're going to pull it out after 100 Ps. But it will report data back to an app, and you can track your urine quality over time, which is something that is not generally easy to do in the home. And I like how they designed this thing. I'm assuming this hasn't been peed on before. So you don't really have to aim at it. You just have to make sure your urine gets on it. And what it does is it channels the urine from the top to the back here. And there's a little valve that will open when it detects the warmth of the urine. And then it will put it into the cartridge for analysis. And it's pretty ingeniously designed here. They do recommend that you sit when you pee as opposed to standing for the best results here. So that is one thing you'll have to do. If you're a guy and you like to stand, you're going to have to sit for your analysis. Another neat thing is that they put a radar system on this, and it will detect the user based on their stream. It doesn't yet diagnose things for men based on urine stream, but it will detect the differences in the people sitting on it based on the characteristics of their stream. So pretty neat little device here. You don't have to pee in the cup, you just pee on it and it will spit the results back to your phone. Now, whenever I review a USB-C dock, people are always asking me, does it work with Samsung decks? And I was just walking by this table called Miradock, and they've got a couple of cool things. This has been out for a while. This is the Mirabook. It's been out since 2015, and it allows you to dock a compatible smartphone with it and turn that smartphone essentially into a laptop. We haven't reviewed this before, but it's a neat implementation. It works with decks. This is a Motorola phone that's running on it right now. And what's nice about this is that when you upgrade your smartphone, you still have the same laptop, basically, and you can use it. There's a battery inside of this as well to power everything. Their new product is this one. This is the Miradock. And what this will do is allow you to dock your phone with it on the USB-C port here. And this, of course, will charge the phone when it's connected. And if maybe my friend can help reconnect it there just so we can show you how it works. And so when that phone connects back up, it will enable decks, and they'll be able to use the phone as a desktop computer. They've got the mouse and keyboard here attached to it. And what was neat about this is what's on the back. So on the back of the dock, they actually have a SD card reader here, both a large one and a small one. There is a gigabit Ethernet port, a bunch of USBs for plugging in keyboards and other devices. Basically, you can dock your phone into it and just turn it into a desktop computer. But what's even cooler is that there's another USB-C port. So if you wanted to have your PC connected to this dock and use it like a regular USB-C dock, you could do that. You could plug your Nintendo Switch into it also, he's telling me. And of course, you can transfer power through it back to those devices as well. So a neat, versatile dock that's kind of focused on mobile phones. And as mobile phones get more and more powerful, using them as your main computer might become more feasible. Now, the price on the dock is very comparable to other USB-C docks. It's $139. It's available for pre-order. It's coming out very soon on their website. And the Miradock here is available now. It's been available since 2015 and sells for $499. So this was better than we expected. Prior years, the CES Unveiled event didn't have as much interesting stuff that this one had. We've been here for over 3 hours, and I think we found a lot of cool stuff. And this is only day one. We've got a bunch more shows like this one coming up later in the week. So stay tuned. We've got a lot more to show you here. And I'm really excited to be back here in Vegas doing our dispatch videos. So stay tuned, more to come. We've got a link in the video description to the playlist. Don't forget to subscribe so you can get notified when these videos come out. And we'll be back again for night 2 here from CES 2023. Until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching. This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Chris Allegretta, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Logic KGR, Tom Albrecht, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.